Hello everyone, I'm back again and this is going to be a short demo on a flower. These are my tools and on with the show. I pre-wet the page with my haki brush loaded with some water and I'm using Arches cold press paper. It's dry to start with so that I've got a page that's half dry and half wet. I flick and flop the paint using a lemon yellow and I'm using my dagger brush. I try to anchor my painting to at least 3 edges of the format. So you'll see it's anchored to the right and it's anchored to the left and it is anchored to the bottom of the page as well, which is out of the picture. This is cerulean blue I'm now flicking in. Just dancing my way through using the brush on its point as well as on its side. I don't mind having a few spots. I think it's great. Keep that spontaneity going. Lots of freedom in the way this painting evolves. I don't have any notion of what sort of flower this is going to be yet, but I think it will be a flower. That is a mixture of cerulean blue and the violet that I'm using now. Now this is the round brush that I have that is made by Silver Black Velvet series. It's a number 8 and I'm using it to soak up any puddles. I just roll the brush into the damp areas. Making sure I directionally blow the paint. I dry the surface and now I use a 2B pencil to draw out my flower. This whole demo is about spontaneously finding the flower, not allowing you to get too detailed. So when I do my negative painting using all 3 colours that I have listed, I only take little sections out to paint and then I jump around the flower just so that there's breaks, and you'll notice it perhaps in this next section. I do a little section and then I jump around a little bit further. Right there I just add another little section, and this way the viewer's eye can optically join up these areas and start making a flower come into focus. So I continue around the flower in this manner. I'm referring to my photograph of an iris that I had in the backyard. But it won't be a botanical study. It'll be a Ray Andrews iris for sure. And as I said, I'm just easing my way around the flower so that parts of the flower are coming into focus and other parts are left understated. I like leaving those little gaps. And when the painting's finished, I will rub out all the pencil marks. But I need them there for the moment to give me a plan, some sort of a guide. I might say too, when I did draw those pencil lines, I made sure not to draw them really heavily and certainly not through the white areas. Using the drinking straw as a tool is a wonderful way to make your painting look more spontaneous. So once those darks went in, I blew it with the drinking straw. And I'm also directing where I'm blowing that drinking straw. That's important. You don't want it blowing into the flower. So you hold the drinking straw out to the outer edges so that you're focusing the marks to go out to the outer areas. Still using my little number 8 round brush, and I'm using only the 3 colours that I started with in variations. When I want something darker, I'll add more of the blue and the violet mix. When I want something lighter, I'll add more of the blue and the yellow mix. I'm always using water as the vehicle to make the paint travel. So I continue in this manner around my flower until I start to get something that indicates an iris, or starts to look a little like my photograph. My iris is going to be a mixture of a lot of colours, it's blue and yellow and green. I don't care about that. All I'm after with my photograph is the shape. That's all I'm referring to. Putting in the stem for this flower at the moment. It's a little out of the picture, I know, but that's what I'm doing. It goes a little bit more of a vertical thrust to go down to the bottom of the page. I'm aware of movement when I do a painting. I want to keep the eye interested and moving around the painting. A negative painting is going to do that for me. So when I come to doing that part, you'll be able to see more clearly what I mean. Still constantly thinking about getting my flower shape to come into focus. I'm allowing some of the leaf shapes or the petals to evolve with some negative painting, for bringing some paint in behind that shape. Just a bit of lemon yellow now, just to nudge that area. And I don't mind that the petal is a little lost and found. It's not explained around the whole petal. I like that mystery in my paintings, especially when I'm doing a floral study. I repeated the yellow down in the bottom left-hand area of the painting so that it'd be colour continuity. Constantly thinking about how to keep the eye moving. I don't like my stem very much, and I'm going to have to move some colour around that stem so it's not so isolated. I'm just softening back a few areas of my negative painting. And I'm, again, colour continuity. I added a bit of green to that mix so that there'd be a few colours going on in that particular area rather than just the blue and the violet. And this is what it looks like so far, pencil marks and all. I dry it a little bit, and then I consider what to do with the top part of the painting. I've got to probably do a little bit more there, but first of all I'm going to do the stamen area. This is how I identify my flowers. I start with the stamen area. That's the main point of interest for me. And if you've got a recognisable stamen area, then usually your flower will come into focus fairly easy. From there, I start working out from that point. And here it is, before I go any further. And I do have to do something more with the top area of the painting. So I did do a little bit more drawing there with my 2B pencil to create the illusion of a top petal. Now I'm actually working within the flower. Remember, the stamen was positive painting too, it was within the flower. But even though it's working inside the flower shape, I'm also trying to separate petals. And an iris is such a convoluted sort of flower that there's a lot of twists and turns. So I'm still doing a degree of negative painting even within the flower. Using the brush on its point, you notice that? That's called a stippling movement. And of course you can use it on the side to spread the paint as well, but I think you can have more control like that with the stippling. Once that area is wet, it's very easy to just stipple in a little bit of fresh colour into the wet area and watch the water do the work for you. Remember, the water is your vehicle after all. Let it do its work. You will notice also on the left-hand side of that petal, I have done a little bit of negative painting and implied other vertical or curvilinear marks and making use of the underneath washes in the background. Don't just paint out all your underneath washes. They're going to be a real help to you to create that third dimension. This is, after all, a slight abstraction. It's not like a panoramic landscape with foreground, midground and background. It's something that you've brought something very close to the viewer, so you have to work some magic in the background areas with negative painting by implying twigs and leaves or whatever. You're not painting the actual object, but you're painting the background around that object. I'm still just using negative painting here to bring out the top part of the flower. So now you can see my flower is starting to evolve quite quickly. The negative painting has helped to create the outside edges of the flower. I have to still get a little bit more form within the flower. And I did toss a little bit more paint around that stem so it wasn't so isolated. So now it's time to augment the right-hand side so that that stem doesn't look quite so isolated, and I'm using a little bit of negative painting into the background. So there'll be a few more curvilinear and vertical marks that I've implied there. I splattered a little bit of paint as well, just to give a bit more spontaneous result. So now I think I'm pretty well done. I could fiddle for quite a long time, I know, but I think for now the painting's finished. I've signed it. You've seen how to do negative painting and to save the whites. So have a go and have fun. Bye-bye.